Hello, and as always, welcome back to another Bamster's News Roundup for the weekend. And a few of the things that we're going to cover today is the golden joysticks that happened over this past weekend, a little bit of an update on Anthem, believe it or not, Facebook being caught between a breast and a hard place, and some highlights from XO19 towards the end of last week. That and more, including a short clip which we'll use as a, introduction for this week's coming episode, where we'll get a chance to talk to someone who is a self-proclaimed Baconista. Now, on the show, I know we always like to talk about beer and bacon, or cider and bacon, and, we love our bacon, mixing it in with all kinds of things, but this gentleman we get to talk to, that you'll hear from on Wednesday, he puts us all to shame. He knows so much more about bacon, and they have a Kickstarter going on right now. You can check out the Kickstarter page. We'll make sure there's a link to that in the description, both on the news here and in this week's episode, where you can buy, they're calling it a bacon cookbook, but I'm sorry, this is more like a mini encyclopedia. 330 pages of information on bacon. So stay tuned, and if you like what you hear, always a thumbs up, like is greatly appreciated. Thank you very much for that. If you want to get updates on the things that we're doing, make sure to follow us on social media channels, both on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. And without further ado, so the golden joysticks happened over the weekend, and, if you're into award shows, maybe you caught this, maybe you were busy, you had to work, and we'll just give you a couple of quick little highlights. So, multiplayer game of the year was Apex Legends, which, that game is a lot of fun. I haven't spent as much time in it as I would like to, but then again, Destiny 2's gotten my attention again lately, so that was a time suck. Indie game of the world was the Outer Wilds. Honestly, I don't think that's much of a shock. I know that it's being classified as an indie game, and I would say it's probably real close to the line between, indie game and big studio, but well deserved from everything I've heard. It's not a game I've played myself, but it's another one that I haven't heard anything but good things pretty much about that. Studio of the year went to Epic Games, which, did you guys in the UK not get the memo? I mean, games news media, at least all over YouTube. Epic Games equals bad. That being said, looking at the all the free games that have been coming out on Epic, and, my games library there has expanded quite a bit. And Rune 2 just released on there. I've got some mixed feelings about that one too. Got a chance to play that over Friday night for several hours, and there are some good things about it, and there are some other things that I could certainly do without, different mechanics that I don't think needed to be added to that kind of a game. Now here's another one that makes me scratch my head and go, just what year are we in? Because when I check the calendar, it says 2019, but when I look at PC Game of the Year, it says WoW Classic. Now, huh? I know why it's there, but to give it Game of the Year for PC, I don't know. I know the hype is real, the nostalgia and all that stuff, but I think there are other games that were developed and released within, the past year that probably were more deserving of that particular title. And of course, Most Wanted game. Yeah, I'm not going to go, an episode without mentioning this game. If I have a good excuse like this, Cyberpunk 2077. It's another one that I am highly anticipating, along with many of you, I would believe. So you can see a full list of all the winners if you want to go to Games Radar article that we will link in the description. There's plenty of more information there for you to check out and see, if one of your favorite games that was out over the year made it on the list. Now, I know I joked about this last week. I just find it hilarious that I was cracking jokes about this, and then this article comes out from Kotaku. Contrary to popular belief, BioWare really hasn't given up on Anthem yet. And that's actually not a joke. They are looking at pretty much revamping the game. There's been talks about, I guess, calling it something to the effect of, whether or not it would be called something like Anthem 2 or Anthem Next or whatever, but they are still putting a lot of work on it. So, the thing is, the craziness of how this entire game was developed to begin with, and that they managed to even get it out the door is one thing. The world that you play in, the verticality is there. It's awesome. It looks a lot of times it looks really great. sometimes there's so much going on the screen, it's a little difficult to keep track of what's going on, all the explosions and the numbers thrown around and stuff like that. But overall, the game looks really good, and it can be quite a bit of fun to play. So, yeah, I mean, if they're taking the feedback seriously, I know they've already been making changes and updates, some of that based on the feedback that they've received. So, if they're doing a massive rework on the game, I would like to go back in and check it out once they're ready to release whatever that is. Of course, there's no release date or time, for anything like that. They're just deep in development. I guess, really banging their heads on the keyboards trying to make this thing a much better game. So, yeah, I've always thought that Anthem was one of those games that kind of fell on its face, but had a ton of potential if given enough development time. So, hopefully they get that, and hopefully when it comes back around again, it's a much more fully fleshed out product that we can actually really dig into and enjoy. Now, in the intro, I joked about Facebook being caught between a breast and a hard place. So, this is all stemming from a protest that happened over in, I think it was in the London Facebook offices. But there's someone who basically, for women who have to have surgery due to have a mastectomy, and then what she goes in and does for the women who lost their nipples is she tattoos on a nipple in the area where the nipple would have been, and does this, as she's saying, oh yeah, this is art, which absolutely tattoos are art, but it's also done to like give those women like a sense back of a little more self-confidence, a little more I obviously, being a guy, I'm not the best person to talk about this, but I get how this can definitely help someone out, because going through something that traumatic and then seeing a part of yourself that was affected like that, but then being able to do something about it and bring some of what would probably feel like some normalcy back to it, I think probably psychologically can be very helpful. Her argument for this is they're getting tired of things like people's pictures getting censored or getting taken down. The thing is, folks get excited, they want to share these things, and I get it. Facebook's in a position where they have a wide variety of people, whether those folks are young, whether they're older, conservative, not, whatever, that might take issue with things like this being shared. And yet, on the other hand, you've got a lot of times, I think, not just this particular artist, but you've got the women themselves who are sharing these things because it's like an empowerment type thing. And so, there are, like I said, I was getting at before, their argument is this isn't pornography, but this is actual artwork, and this is, a positive, mental and emotional thing for these folks. So yeah, I mean, they're caught. Facebook themselves, I would think, in this instance, is kind of caught in a rough position just because of the fact that, I guess, this is one of those things you probably need actual eyes on. As bad as that sounds, now that I say that, just because an algorithm that catches things like this may not be able to tell the difference, between the tattoo and something, an actual real nipple. So that's where a human would have to intervene, I would think. So I don't know. I guess we'll wait and see how this all turns out. But I just thought that was kind of a funny story I'd bring to your attention. And then as we wrap up the news, we'll run through a few announcements from XO19 that was happening, I think it was towards the end of last week. Now, for those of you who don't know, which I was in that category last week, XO19 is a big Xbox festival, so it's a Microsoft festival, I should say, because it doesn't cover just Xbox things, but it's primarily focused around Xbox. So there were tons of announcements from Microsoft, tons in air quotes, and we'll run through a few highlights of those as well. So Minecraft Dungeons, which is it looks much like, if you were just to see some of the videos, you would expect it was kind of a Diablo version of Minecraft. Now, the way that this game works is not the same as Diablo. There aren't any classes or anything like that. And one of the things that they said that I thought was kind of interesting, and I've seen a couple of other games do this in the past, you are what you wear, in essence. So whatever equipment you pick up, whatever armor you're wearing, that affects the skills and abilities, the things that you can do inside the game. It definitely still looks like a cute game. Still looking forward to it, and the release date for that is now scheduled for April of 2020. Another one that got announced that I thought looked kind of interesting is Grounded. Now, while I'm not a fan of survival games and survival mechanics, especially if you can kind of tone those things down, or if they're not overly done, that they're kind of taking away from the fun of playing the game, then, that's something I still kind of like to check out at least. And in Grounded, well, I guess the premise is much like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. You play as someone, as a human who's shrunk down to the size of an ant, and you are what looks to be trying to survive in a backyard area. So this is another one that, like I said, it looks kind of cool. It's cartoonish graphics in the vein of something like Fortnite, similar style to that. So, nothing like super hyper realistic or, anything like that. But I think the art style is very appropriate for, the gameplay that you really went through. So anyway, it looks neat. Grounded, that's something you can check out. Everwild, which is from Rare. Those are the developers that created Sea of Thieves. And this one, this one's also got a bit of a cartoony look to it. But there wasn't a lot of information. It was more of like a teaser trailer. But I don't know. Just it's a mystical, magical world with all these, neat-looking creatures and stuff like that. I guess we have to wait to see more information on that. Visually, I would say it looks neat. It looks interesting. But, I can't really say much more than that at this point until we get a chance to see what kind of a game it really is, what the gameplay will be like. Final Fantasy fans will be excited because Final Fantasy 7 through 15 are all coming to the Xbox Game Pass on PC. So if you're already subscribed to that service or were considering subscribing to it, I've got to say, of all the streaming services, or I want to say not streaming service, but of all the membership services for video games and stuff, Microsoft is really kind of hitting it out of the park with their service versus, the other ones that are out there. And another thing that they announced with regards to that is the xCloud streaming service, which is why streaming was on my brain, is also going to be coming to the Xbox Game Pass for Xbox and PC. So now you'll be able to have that streaming service in addition to access to all these games and being able to play those things on your phone, your tablet, your computer, whatever. So that's crazy. But that, xCloud is Microsoft's answer to Google Stadia. So I gotta say, man, their streaming or their Game Pass it's something I may consider. I've been kind of leery of getting involved with or paying for any Game Passes, I guess I should say, whether it's the Xbox Game Pass or the Origin one that EA has, or whatnot. I just, a lot of these, it's like, nah, I'll just buy the individual games I want instead of just paying for a monthly service and then maybe not getting my money out of it. Plus, with so many just like video streaming services, it's too much money going in too many different directions. And finally, we know when Halo is returning to PC. So Halo Reach is going to hit PC on the 3rd of December, and I cannot wait. Which reminds me, I got to get back to playing Jedi so that I can finish Fallen Order and be ready for when Halo comes out in a couple of weeks. That's right, December 3rd is right around the corner. Alright then, and as promised right before I get out of here, here's a quick clip of our interview with the Baconista we get to talk to on Wednesday. Thanks for sticking with me. Hope you found it enjoyable, and I will catch you next time.
Is that the pig that is in The Lion King?
It is.
Is that the one? Yeah.
Yes, him.
Yes, him. I really like to make bacon out of him.